Hi, this is Ginger Cook, and the Creative Art Collaboration, that's a group of artists on YouTube, and every month we release a new hashtag. You may have seen a Love Summer Art, which we did Pansy Garden, and Love Fall Art, which we did the the kind of woods and the trees, and last month we did Think Pink, which was the Lady in the Garden by Frederick Frisky, and it's a painting done in the early, like 1912, I think, was when this originally was done, the Impressionist painting. So every month we release one of these, and the theme for this month is Thankful for Art. And I got to thinking about what I wanted to do for that. This is a painting by Vincent Van Gogh. Originally it was a watercolor, and I'll go on to explain that later in the video and show you a picture what the watercolor looked like. This is a palette knife painting, the completed palette knife painting, 9 by 12 of that picture. And I know a lot of people are interested in learning how to use a palette knife. I show you what it looks like with just done flat without a palette knife. And in this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to use a palette knife. And the reason I chose this is, what I'm thankful for is all the artists that have come before. We think about November and a month when we might feel some gratitude toward the things in our life. I say as artists, you think of Renoir and Cezanne, Van Gogh and Michelangelo, and all those great artists that inspired us to become artists or want to pick up a paintbrush and paint. And so I'm going to just celebrate Vincent Van Gogh, and showing how to do a painting from a watercolor into a palette knife painting. And plus, I think this is you'll be surprised how easy this painting is going to be to do, because we're doing people from behind. So follow along and let's be thankful for art. And this is with Vincent Van Gogh's, titled In the Rain. Good morning, this is Ginger Cook, and today I thought it would be fun to do a palette knife painting. And on our online classes, the gingercooklive.gallery, this was a painting done by Vincent Van Gogh. It was originally a watercolor. Here's a photocopy of his. And when I taught the lesson on our gallery, which is in there now, I just used regular acrylic paint. But this is a kind of painting where you could easily turn this in, even though this was originally a watercolor, you could turn this into a palette knife painting, I think, fairly easily. And we're going to give it a try. I think it's going to be fairly easy. Let's see if it is. So what I wanted to do was, I found an old canvas. This original picture was 6 by 8. His was a little bit longer, more of a rectangle than this. So I took a 9 by 12 canvas, and if you can kind of see it, it was originally just some old picture that I had started that I didn't like. And I turned it upside down, and I went ahead and I sketched on, just using nude pastels, I sort of sketched on our people. They're all from behind, so this is fairly easy to do because you just see the figures from behind. I won't put the feet in, but you can see we've got these 2 umbrellas. We've got some sort of sky, and then the rest is snow. So I think it's a relatively going to be a fairly simple thing to do with a palette knife. In my painting, I left out the light post he had, or the tree, or whatever this was, and I'm going to leave it out here too. I'm just going to leave this tree out. We're going to do a little editing. So in other words, this is loosely based on his at this point. So the colors we're using are titanium white, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, dazzling purple, cad red medium, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, and cad yellow medium. Now, for instance, if you were going to do this larger than this, say 16 by 20 or something, this is going to use, palette knives use about 3 or 4 times more paint than regular paintings. So you might consider using like a heavy matte gel. I don't know if I'd use gloss, but maybe an extra heavy matte gel. Do it about 50-50, and that way that will make your paint go a little bit further than it would normally. Alright, so as with anything we're going to get started, I want to, sort of using both of these as references, I want to put in the background. And you can see in his that there was some yellow up in here and some burnt sienna, and even in mine. So we're going to do sort of take some yellow oxide and a little burnt sienna, just scrape it like this on the palette knife, and we're not going to mix these colors. And then I'm just going to sort of layer this over the sky like this. And let me get a little bit of white with that. And I'm going to layer it over there like this. Okay, I'm going to lighten this up like this. And the trick is here's a little yellow oxide, little cad yellow medium, little burnt sienna, maybe a tiny bit of Dazzling purple, like 1%. We're not touching this very much, okay? We're just saying that this is, let's say this is our sky, and put a little more white with it. Barely touch it. So just get a little bit on the side of the palette knife, and then just sort of work it in like this. Then where my umbrellas are, I'm going to just be kind of careful with it. And because I've got an underpainting, this is the trick. Just a brown underpainting would be fine with this, but this was an old painting I had, so I'm using it. Kind of this lighter sky here. I think I need a little bit more burnt sienna mixed in with that. Most people, when they mix paints, they want to just stir it like cookie dough. And you'll see in my other videos where I talk about palette knife painting. And it's important that you don't mix the colors that well. You can layer, you can do all kinds of stuff, but you don't want to mix the colors. So here's some white. It's adding up to there. And it's nice if you can get some different colors going in your picture. And it's a rainy day, so everything's sort of sweeping down this way. Again, brush direction or palette knife direction makes a difference. You just can't, we're not plastering a wall here. So we definitely are going to say that there's some direction to this. I'm going to go right over these umbrellas, the light, like that, and say all this up here is sky. And every little bit I'm adding some more paint. Okay, so I'm going right next to the umbrella. Kind of flattening that out. So it's got some darker stuff coming up here, which we'll put in a minute. There we go. Here's our sky. And I don't mind if some of these other colors show through in the sky. That's nice. Okay, so I mean, this didn't, it doesn't take a long time. I think I want it a little bit darker next to my umbrella, so I'm going to take some Dazzling purple and some burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of cad red medium. Mix that in there. Tiny bit of ultramarine blue. A little bit like that. Just mix this in here. I want some sort of dark color. And I'm going to come up in here like this. I'm going to add this up here just on top. This is all just barely touching it. Okay. And everybody, even people have, when people do palette knives, there's no right or wrong way, I suppose. Everybody's going to have their own bit of how they do it. Some people just lay it down and then move on to the next thing. We're not doing that. But I do like to scrape up the paint and then put it on here like that. Okay, it's going to darker over here. Okay, so you can kind of see where I've darkened it, kind of around where some of this is. And I'm not stuck with this. I can keep going over it. So that's my first step. And because I didn't use any gels, I can dry this and sort of set it a little bit. And now here's the trick. Get in the habit of wiping it off. And I'm just going to barely touch it. And I think I want some, maybe a little white up in here. I'm kind of looking at his. He had a little bit. I'll just barely touch it in here. I didn't do it in mine, but I kind of like that. So just barely touching it and laying in a little bit of white on top like that. Okay. All right, so that's my sky, and I'm just going to work my way down. Now the next thing I'm going to do is my umbrella, and I want to make it gray. So it's going to be ultramarine blue, cad red medium, and white. All right, and a little tiny bit of yellow oxide. I'll make it gray. Let's make some gray here. Here's a light gray, and I'm going to take a little bit of phthalo blue and put in there, just because I want to warm this gray up a little bit. There, like that. And I'm not going to mix this very well. Now, here's my umbrella. I'm going to come on top of the umbrella like this. And there was a little place where it folded down. This is going to be probably a little bit looser than my other painting. And you know, you don't have to use a palette knife for the whole thing. You could have taken a brush and just painted in the umbrella if you'd wanted to. Let's see, I'm going to turn this upside down. Work on it maybe sideways. Let's see how I'm doing with that. So I want to come down here with this umbrella. Alright, I'm using a small palette knife. You don't want to try to go much smaller than this size canvas with this. And the reason being is that it gets hard to do detail when you're doing this. So that the detail is a little more challenging when you're trying to get all this in here like this. In fact, I think I'll probably at this point take a brush and this is an angle, Simply Simmons, and maybe just come in here like this with the line. Get my line going here with the brush. Can still get the palette knife texture. I want to make sure I have the line around my umbrella. There we go. And don't get so stuck with this that you lose your picture. Okay. So now this is the first layer of this color. It's not where we're going to leave it, but this is the first layer of this color. All right. Now this back umbrella is lighter than this, so I'm just going to get a little paint like this, quite a bit of paint actually, put on here like this. It's not this light, but it is lighter than that one. Now I've got enough paint where I can move this and I make it thick enough where it mimics the effect of a palette knife. Okay, like that. I'm going to scoop up some more paint, almost like a little shovel, and roll it off, and then bring it around like that. And say that there's my lighter umbrella, right like that. And this one, here's where this comes in. This one has a little light edge. Let's wipe off the brush here. A little white edge coming right under here like this. And I would probably have to dry this before I went much further. But I do know, for instance, that right here in the center, there's the top of this umbrella. Okay? And now, alright, so we've laid in a basis for this. Now I'm just going to move on down and make a dark color. Ultramarine blue, Dazzling purple, a burnt umber. Okay, and more ultramarine blue. I'm not using black, alright? So, in order to get, I don't want any white paint in here. So I've got to get it dark underneath the umbrella here. So now this is where the brush is going to come in. Kind of around underneath here, and I can still work on my shapes here of my people. Okay, here's the brush. Just kind of put that in like that. Now, a little bit of Cad Red Medium. Make a little bit more red down here on this corner. Now, because all of this was lots of colors, this was there, so we don't just use one dark color. Now we got to bring our umbrella up a little bit like this. And like this, gonna bring it up. And you can, it's wet enough where you can still carve this out. And at this point, I'm not drying anything, I'm just sort of carving up the umbrella. And I can even come up here like this with the back of the knife and just kind of lift up some of this paint. That if I want this a little bit less down toward the head, I can just scrape some off. Like this. Okay. So now we'll go back with the brush and put in this dark color. I think at this point I'll just do some purple so I can get the shape. Okay, like that. There we go. Alright, so there's this first umbrella. Now it's not done, but this is basically where my shape is going. Let me move my plate so you can kind of see. And I want to make sure that I have this at an angle here. This was real important. Okay. And then we've got our people, and we've got something dark under these guys. So one of the things that happens when you're doing a palette knife picture is it's really easy to run out of paint. And there will be a temptation to just stop and do that. And this is, that's the trick, is that don't get in the trap of when you run out of paint, just say, oh, well, I'll do something else. Now, if you want a dark color, you can't have any white in it. So you may want a couple of mixing plates for this. Okay, so here's some dark around our people here. Under this umbrella, which is coming up like this. Alright, so there's this one. Okay. It comes in here like this. A little bit over this head like this. Okay. Alright, so far we've got, I'm going to just sort of, do a combination of these two things. We've got something going on up here like this. Alright, now I'm going to just pause and dry everything. That's the trick. And it may be that you just have to come back to this if you're using gels. You just have to leave this sit and come back to it for a day. See if I can't, just going to come here now. This has had a chance to sit. Just going to smooth this out a little bit. There we go. Okay. Alright. Then make sure you've wiped your palette knife off. Let's dry everything and see where we are. Okay, so it's not completely dry, but it's skinned over. How's that? It's sort of skinned over, so it's kind of dry, but not completely. Alright, well, as long as I'm in these colors, I'm going to get a little dazzling purple and add it to this gray color like this. And I want some dazzling purple on on the top of this umbrella, like this. Start layering this color on. There we go. And if you have to, turn your picture around. Don't be afraid to do it upside down. If you're doing it on an easel, just move it. Okay, there we go. There's this little bit of purple that's sitting on top of this. And it's got an interesting kind of a blue line right here. You see that? Right in here. See there? Sort of this pretty blue line. So what I need is another mixing plate. I'm going to take some phthalo blue and some white. A little bit of this purple color. And I'm going to make this, oh, I need a little yellow. Okay. Maybe some yellow oxide would be pretty in this, like a drop of that. Okay. How about some more white? Alright, that's pretty. See, I'm not mixing it that much. Okay, that's the trick. Now I'm going to use the edge of the brush, or the palette knife, and just do like that. Okay, so that's working. So now, I'm going to say that this edge, right here, is curved. And then I'm going to say that this is the lighter part of this umbrella, like this. And it comes this way. Because I didn't mix the colors that perfectly, it's prettier than if I'd mixed them. And I've got that gray underneath, you see? I didn't mix the colors too perfectly. And I still want more gray underneath than I'm able to get in this small piece with this with that knife, because this is a pretty small piece. Alright, so I'm just going to come around here where I need it with the brush. And it's got to be okay for you to say, okay, here's the brush too. Okay, so here's my brush. Here's my palette knife. Okay. And I'm going to just take a little yellow, a little bit of cad red medium, put a little bit there too, because it's sort of nice. As long as I've got it, and maybe I'll come back over here with a little bit of burnt sienna. Do a little bit on here too, on this one. Just a little edge, and then when I go over it with the palette knife, it'll be a little bit different. So, okay, so there you can kind of see. We can kind of see where I'm getting the umbrella in here. Now, I need something very dark under this, so I'll just make it thinner. This is the trick, just make it thinner. You can always skinny up a line if you get it too fast with the color that's underneath it. Okay? Alright, so that's brush goes in water. Now we're moving on here. And I don't have this gray color much anywhere except a little bit on this guy's coat. And it's got a little bit more, it's a little darker. Sort of a, let's put some cad red medium with it. Now we've changed it completely, not, did it that much. We're going to say that there's this coat on this gentleman right here. It's coming here, and he's going to just put the coat in. And then he's got some dark pants on, but we've got to put this gray color, sort of interesting because it's other places. It's his coat, but if we put a little yellow oxide with it, it's almost the other side of this lady over here, underneath here. So I'm going to pull some of that down on this side, over this brown. And if I add some more white to that, same color, just putting a little more white to that. Now I'm coming over here on this side of the umbrella, and I'm putting in the kind of the dirty snow that's around these guys. It's all different shades of gray. And again, your direction of your palette knife makes a difference. And it's just sort of coming in. Okay, I'm going to still bring this down here. Take some more white. Put it in here like this. A little more cad red medium in here and gray it out. Okay, a little burnt, or probably ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue, cad red medium, little yellow oxide, and white make a gray. And I'm all out of white paint. And this is how fast it goes. So I think I'll just put some white paint here on this. I'll just put the cap off. Alright, now, right like this. I'm going to put some white paint in here like this. Got this sort of blue-gray color. Want some more cad red medium in it. Gray it out some more. A little bit more ultramarine blue. There we go. Graying it out. Okay, and a little bit of yellow. Yellow oxide. Okay, grade this out. A little more white. Perfect. Now we're coming around here, going into the grays. Now we're going to change direction of our brush strokes. Putting in all this color. And this is why I like going over an old canvas, if you can kind of see how I'm doing this. Because I had some colors in here anyway. And whatever's showing through is kind of nice. You can take advantage of the fact that you did have color underneath here. And I need some, gray around our guys here. Like that. Pull some of this gray. This is the trick. I'm just going to tap a bit of this gray on top of what we just did here, this green gray. And this is going like that with her coat. Okay, and then we had a shadow. Still playing with this, but we had a shadow underneath here. This is just burnt sienna, but we had a shadow underneath here, and I want to put this in while it's still wet. So very just pure burnt. This is actually burnt umber, pure burnt umber, coming right on top of here. Here's my shadow, where they are. Our snow guys are right here, underneath here. See this little shadow? Putting that in. And going to wiggle the shadow this way, back and forth, just kind of wiggle it in here like this. And where's my white here? Here. Ooh, this is fun. Now, yeah, I'm going to go across here like this with a little white. See, clean your brush, or your palette, I keep calling it a brush. Clean it, thin it out, and now I'm going to start adding some lighter colors here. I know I want it very light next to her coat. Helps that I painted this once before, too, so I sort of know where everything's going. Now I'm going to start pulling some stuff right on top of this, like that. A little bit of a kind of an off-white color down here, still creating snow down here at the bottom. Same thing under here. Acrylics dry darker, so it can be a little misleading. This is a good basis. I mean, we're a pretty good basis for this now. I haven't. I think I'm pretty happy with this. Let me just pull a little more burnt umber and purple together. And let's see if I can put my shadow back in here a little bit. One thing about it, if you do something with a palette knife and you don't like it, it will scrape up. You know, you're not just stuck. So let's get some more of that burnt umber, a little purple color. Now I'm going to come under here like this, and I just want to wiggle this shadow under here. Ooh, like that. Got to go sideways. Okay, like that. Okay. All right, so that's working, and then here's this shadow here that's coming up around them, almost in a V. All right, so that works. Now, what's next? Well, I think at this point we need to dry it again. All right, so here we go. Put a little of that brown up there. All right, now I'm going to just fix this right like that, smooth that out a little bit more. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Okay, just with the knife. See, then just scraping it across like that. I might even put some white going across. Pull it flat. Just go across like this. Because when the white gets on here, it's going to blend in with other stuff. So we got a nice, kind of little pocket of snow. Okay, let's pause and dry. Alright, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to go ahead and put in my figures. I'm going to take a little bit of purple, a little yellow oxide, a little tiny bit of yellow oxide, a little tiny bit of white, a little more yellow oxide. Yellow oxide grays purple, okay, because it's opposites. Yellow is opposite purple on the color wheel. I'm just going to go ahead and come around here like this and paint this figure in. Then I will go ahead and go over the top of it with my palette knife. Alright, so I'm going to say that there's your, she's kind of hunched over like that. And she has sort of a nice light, little light purple headscarf on, some white. That's it. Back in the 1800s, and there it is, kind of, see where it's sort of tight around her neck. Okay, so there's that. And so she's sitting, let's make sure I've got her, I want to make sure that I've come out here like this and down, and this is why we wanted to dry stuff, is that I wanted to make sure that that I see where she's coming straight down here with this coat. Then it sort of, the bottom, it just didn't do much. Okay, now we'll come back with the palette knife with that. And then our guy here, as long as we're in the dark colors, let's take some burnt umber, cad red medium, a little bit of ultramarine blue, and I want to put in this figure here. Okay, there's the coat. It's a little shorter. This is almost like you're sketching in with your paint, and that can be very helpful. Bring in the umbrella like that. Come up under here with the umbrella. Make sure we've got it dark enough up here. Like that. There we go. Now there's this side of the umbrella is coming up this way, and okay, so here's our dark coat here. Alright, so we've got that figure, and then this one is more of a purple, right like that. This gal has got purple on. And so again, I'm going to use this, Dazzling purple, a little bit of the lighter color like I used on this one, to make sure that I've got the shape of the coat. Okay, this is what I'm going for. I want the shape of the coat, like this. And take a little bit of the red color, cad red medium now, and I'm going to put it next to here like this, around her head. It's squared off at the top, and it's going to come down and do a V here. So if I can show you here, it's going to come down into a V like this, and so I want this red edge to that right there. And then here's some cad red medium on this figure. Maybe a little yellow. Let's put some yellow with this. There we go. Okay. I want this a little brighter underneath, like this. Here's our coat coming down here, and then back into our brown here at the bottom. Maybe with a little red down here. The cad red is a nice orange red. If you don't own that, that's just a color you want. Really helpful. Okay, and the bottom of this is sort of rounded out. Okay, so this is this figure right here. Okay. So I mean, we're getting our little people in here. Now we're still going to come back with a palette knife on them, but I think for me, this is the easiest way. Make sure that the top of this neck is rounded, like here, where the coat's coming over the neck. And again, here around her head, there's a little bit of the red. Okay, just a tiny bit of the red around the head, and maybe a little bit of the burnt. Let's see, what color do we want around this one? Maybe a little light purple around this one. Okay, that's something like that. Okay, so then I've got to rinse the brush because I've had all these crazy colors on it. And so I'm going to still come back and work on the, put this over here, maybe that'll help. Just kind of see what I'm painting here. Alright, now our guy had some dark pants on, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and he's coming in here like this with dark pants. He's got his legs coming down here like this, And then his feet are really, he has to stop where she does. Okay, he has to stop where she does, and his pants are coming up a little bit higher than that. Okay, so that's him, and then here's our top of our umbrella here. It's kind of coming out over where his thing is. Now, to make all this work, I need something light around his head. In other words, because he has dark brown hair, okay? So I need something light around his head. So I'll probably take a little bit of cad red medium and a little bit of cad yellow medium and make a lighter orange. And I'm going to just paint around his head like that. I think I want a little orange right next to here, between the umbrellas, like that. Okay, putting a little paint on here. We haven't finished this umbrella yet, but we're still working on that. And then his jacket, he's got, I want to just make sure that we've got his legs in here the way we want them. So here's the snow color, which we had over here, and that's coming up. So an angle brush is very handy right here like this, in between his feet like that. Okay, and then next to this foot, before the shadow starts, there's a little bit of this gray color. And don't be afraid, like I say, don't be afraid to use your brush to add a few little highlights on something. There's some light next to this coat. Okay, so let's see, where else do I want it? And maybe a little light right here next to his, there, next to her, just like that, just something like that. Okay, now where'd our little palette knife go? So I've sort of established that, and I still use a brush a little bit, I've established that he's got this sort of bulky almost jacket here, okay, and then it's coming down, he's got like a backpack, some sort of fanny backpack, I don't know, it's interesting, and it's in a light beige and white, like that. Put that in, kind of, okay, and then I'm just going to take my brush and scrape out something. Okay, so that's him. This is her. Now let's put a little palette knife and texture on some of this. So, I want a little bit of burnt umber and the change plates here. Sometimes if you need a dark plate, just get a dark plate, because what's going to happen is once you put white into the colors, or ultramarine blue, once you put white in, then you can't get it dark again. So you've got to sort of, you may, particularly on big pieces, you need a couple of palettes going, not plates either, but real palettes. But alright, so here's our paint now. I'm going to say that this is our coat. I'm just going to go ahead and put this extra layer of paint on here. And I want it at an angle like this. Just want it at a little bit of an angle. Like this. Okay. And I want to make sure that I have this one, and it kind of, it curves a little bit, but there you go, like there you go. And then this coat's coming out straight down at an angle like this. Okay, there's this coat. And then it gets a little longer down toward here. It's a little bit longer down toward the bottom of this. Alright. And then there's some of this little dark brown color in some of the, well, it's more of the burnt sienna color in this other coat. So here's the burnt sienna, which is your rust brown. There's some burnt sienna little yellow oxide in here. That's going on this coat, like this. And let's see. I know what I have to do. I'm going to stop a minute here and just make a painting adjustment. So a little bit of white. I'm going to say that there's the top of her head. So I'm moving her head over just about like this. Okay, her head's getting moved over here. And there we go. That was just to take some white paint, move her head over just like this, so that when her coat came like that, it came up underneath here like this, and then came down at an angle. And I still want to come around here with some orange paint around her hat. Okay, so now how does this work as far as putting this all in? Well, it still works. Still works. Sort of a combination of brush and palette knife. I'm going to come up next to here a little bit, do this. Now I'm going to stop and dry everything. I just can't say enough of that. We're going to stop and dry everything. Okay, so now what we're doing is taking a detail brush and working around the head of the figures. I want to make sure this is flat going across the top. It's squared off here. It was very interesting how it got squared off. Okay, like that. And we've dried enough where I think we can do that. And then I want to take a clean brush and a little gray paint like this. And just shorten this. I mean, you just because you did it with the palette knife doesn't mean you're stuck with anything. You can, kind of shorten an arm. You need to bring it in a little bit more like this, bring it down. You just have to make sure that you've dried it first before you get carried away with doing stuff, and because you've got so much texture on here, it's still going to feel very palette knifey even when you go back over it with a brush. Okay, like that. Okay, now I want to take that light color. It's almost pure white. And I'm going to very carefully paint in their heads, little hats. And there's quite a bit of paint on the brush. This is white. Now remember, your eye goes to the lightest light and the darkest dark. So this is the only real white in this picture, is these front ladies in their little scarves. Remember, this has to go down to a point here, down her back. So now they're starting to show up. Okay. And here's a little bit of red coming under here like that, under her hat, like that. This is coming down like this. Now what I want to do here is suggest that there might be a shawl here. So I'm going to take some Cad Red Medium and some Dazzling Purple. Just come up here like this. So just to sort of give me an idea of where I want to put it. Okay. Now let's take some time and do something with her coat. So I'm going to grab some white paint from over here, put it into my browns, which is my burnt umber. Now, it's just going to come this way with the coat, right over the purple, the gray-brown color. And let's grab more brown paint, some more burnt umber. This takes paint. This eats up paint. I promise you, it eats up a little paint. Now, while here's some brown burnt umber on top of this, because I want this to be darker. So what I like to do is just flatten out the paint like this. Just flatten it out so I can see the colors I'm using. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say that here's some brown paint over this purple. Okay, so here's this brown coat. Now here's the trick. I want a dark brown scarf thing on her like this. Got enough paint on this. Remember, we did it purple. There we go, like that. There we go. So I feel like there's her, you can kind of see a scarf. And then I want a dark edge right here. So I'm going to flatten out, no white on it, going to flatten out the brush like the palette knife like this. Cut up an edge like this. Come over here like this. See that dark edge there. Could have done it with the brush, but alright, and I want a dark edge around the bottom of her coat. I definitely want a dark edge on the bottom of her coat. So if I've got a dark edge around the bottom of her coat, then I've got to bring some of this down to it, like that. Oh, great, that works. Okay, then get in the habit of wiping off your palette knife. I would use paper towels. I'm using rags, but I think because you kind of want to throw this away, I would use paper towels for this. Here was some of that light gray color. There we go. Just bring that down very gently, like that. Ooh, pretty. Okay, now what else could I do here? Kind of like this. Let's get some snow color. Want to come underneath this and give it a bit of a curve. There we go. There we go. A little bit of a curve on the bottom of that coat. Haven't put their feet in yet. Still working on that. Alright, we've got this white. Let's take some titanium white. And I'm going to come right up here on the, I've got the shape of this, so I just need a little bit of extra paint up here on the top of these. Just put it, there you go. Okay, a little bit of extra paint on there, like that. And we still have this coat to do. So I'm kind of running out of room on plates, so I've got to have a new plate for this coat. So I need Cad Red Medium. And I guess a little bit of dazzling purple, maybe not much. Okay, like that. And then we're going to try something different. We're going to try transparent mixing white because I don't want real white, but I want it lighter. So that's just going to add that. Okay, now transparent mixing white won't turn it pink. Does that make sense? Now we're not coloring this in very well. Just got the mixing white in here, but we're not mixing the paint. That's what I got to tell you. We're just not mixing the paint. So now, okay, so I know I want some light coming down like this. Let's get some yellow with this too. Alright, now it's coming down this way on the coat. Pulls over here like this, almost like a shawl. There we go. A little yellow oxide somewhere. Alright, so there's her shawl coming down like this. Where's some white? A little bit of white right there. Could have done it with the brush, but okay. And a little bit of, I'm going to wipe off the palette knife because I'm going to red on it now. A little bit of this kind of white gray color right next to here on this side of the coat. Do you see that right in here? Like this. Because you want the contrast between here and here. And we want this dark coat to come in like this. Okay, that's coming in. Alright, now you see there's no change between here and here. These two values are too much the same. So now what we've got to do is just really get out our whites and start adding the lights. Got to turn on the lights. Alright, so we're still in the gray colors because this plate still has some gray in it, but I'm lightening it up with white. And now I want to come this way, turn it sideways. And the trick is you got to flatten out. Here's you got to flatten out your knife like this. Maybe I'll change knives. I've been using this one. Let me try this one. I like this one because I can do a better edge here. Okay, and I'm going to pull it this way next to this coat. I want a little more gray blue to this. Again, don't mix it too well. It's prettier if you don't. Alright, so we've added that light color there. We want a little bit of that over here. For sure we want a little of it right here. And on this side of her, sort of scraping it over. Now I'm going to turn this around. Say that I want it light. Okay, so far so good. Okay, and then I want to bring some light down this way. Ah. Alright, so now what we're doing is we're just bringing this light color and floating it across some of this. Holding the palette knife very flat, but I've got so much texture on here now. When I come up and down like this, you feel the puddles, don't you? You feel the puddles. Put a little bit of light back up in here like this. Okay, next to them. How about up here? Actually, some of that color is on these hats. A little bit. A little bit on these scarves. Here. Here. Okay, so now pulling something down, just pulling some things down like this. Now it feels very, very icy, doesn't it? And kind of cold and miserable. And we haven't put the feet on. Yeah. No worries, we haven't put the feet on yet, but I want to make sure I pulled this off the bottom like this. Okay, off the bottom of the canvas like this. Alright, now what? Okay, let's take that little brush, because I'm in these colors now. And you know, we're converting this from a watercolor into a palette knife painting, which I think is kind of cool. Put a little bit of a highlight there on this coat. Same up here like this. It's the same kind of blue we were using for the snow. Okay, and then how about here? Let's look at our guy here. We haven't done much here. There's a little bit on her hat right here like this. We haven't done much with her. Now this is brush time. Sort of pull some brown in here like this next to her head like this. Maybe make that a little smaller. Okay, see where I am with this. I'm still in the dark browns. I'm going to do some dark, I don't know, he had it in the picture. I don't know what this is, some sort of straps or something coming down on this. Like that. This was all very vague. Now this head was a dark brown color. His head was very dark brown. His hair in here was dark brown, this guy. which was an interesting contrast to the ladies, which were in a light color. Okay, so that, like, for instance, she had this sort of light snow color right here on the top of this, and there was a little light color right next to his head, right in here. Maybe that's where the paper showed through. I don't know. Sort of fun though. Okay, so now I'm going back with some dark brown paint, and I'm just sort of doing a little bit of, haven't dried anything, but I think I can, just need a little dark edge in a couple of places on this coat, or sort of separated. And we haven't put the feet in, but I want to just do some dark brown brush strokes here. You know, just because you did something with the palette knife doesn't mean you can come back. You can't come back and do something else. And we've got this, kind of make it a little bit smaller around her hat. There we go, like that. So we're getting there. You know, I think we still need, oh yeah, we need this next to his feet where he ends. Okay, right here, his feet end in here, and make sure we've got that blue color, not white. We need some of this over here. Just take it with the brush, because he's ending right here. And then we've got the little shadow of the brown coming this way, which we can put in while it's still wet. Okay, so you still put stuff back, even if it's not exactly how you want it. Don't panic, it'll be alright. Okay, and I want this hat to be more at a point like this. Okay, this little scarf thing. And her scarf is not as, it's more of a light beige. That's kind of pretty much where it was, but what happened here was that it was darker next to it. So it was much darker next to it under here. Just takes, there, I'll take a little blue or something and darken it right next to where her scarf was. And again, this was interesting to me because of the shapes of all these little scarves. There's a sort of a light purple shape right here. Almost squared off. Almost squared off where he had these. Now, as long as I'm into the light, let's pull some light here on this umbrella. And we're going to have to go back over the umbrella anyway with a little palette knife, but I just wanted to put a little light around here like this. Okay, on this one. Still have to do the feet. How are we doing? All right, we're getting there. Let's do their legs. How's that? Let's put those in here like this. And so she's got, from the edge of her coat, she's got a leg that's right like this. I don't know why I'm getting purple. I really want brown. Now it's kind of turning blue, but that's okay. And I liked how her calf sort of curved out here. And you didn't really see the, and then this one's going this way. And you just sort of indicate that there's a foot here. It's just pretty simple. It's just very low, small indication of a foot kind of going up this way. And then this gal's, her legs are very, let's see, purple, and these are real dark right here. Her 2 feet are right here like this and like this. And you just barely see the shadow of where the feet might be. And then this one was just, boy, you barely see it. This is all just sort of running into the wet paint. And he was doing watercolors. It was just all, this was all just sort of running in here. We weren't talking about these feet at all. Okay, like that. So that's these guys were sort of walking, And let me see, make sure that I didn't lose his pants here. Okay. And there was a separation between his pants and her. Okay, like right here. Here's his pants coming here. And then there's a little separation between these guys, which I'm going to do with the brush. I could have done it with the palette knife. But it just, right here, this separates again. Go. Okay. So we're getting there. And then let's see, we haven't done much with her coat yet, what we were gonna. And let's see what else we were gonna do. Alright, we've got, alright, so let's take some dark now. Come a little closer so I barely see the red going around this hat. Okay, now, my feeling is at this point would be a good time to do her hat, or rather her coat. I think we could do her coat a little bit. And it's kind of a pale grade purple. Now remember, you've got a color wheel here somewhere. Okay, now whenever you're trying to grade a color, here's purple, and yellow's opposite purple. So if you need to push back a color, add some of the opposite. So we're going to start with Dosney purple, like this, and white. And if you just left it plain like this, it would be a circus color. What I mean was like something that, you know, that circus performers might wear to get your attention. And so I'm going to take some yellow oxide and add to that, because it's got a little red in it. Red and blue make purple. Scrape it up. Now I've softened this purple to kind of a purple gray. All right. Now I want it a little bit darker. I'll take a little bit of ultramarine. What's it say? Where's my ultramarine blue? A little ultramarine blue and some purple. Maybe a little cad red medium. So I want two colors here. I want a darker purple, like that, which is next to him. The darker color is next to him, like this, almost the color that we put on there. And then here's her coat, which is very light, like this. And I'm going to just turn this. For me, it's easier if I turn it this way. It's kind of coming down here at an angle. Now make sure that the bottom of your palette knife is clean, otherwise it won't spread nicely. You don't have any paint stuck on it. Here's my darker color, which I need to blend in. Just take the blue and do it as I go. Alright, so let's pull this coat this way. So all the way down, like this, bring it across, down, wipe off the brush, knife. Still want the downward motion. And let's see, I think I put some mixing white somewhere here. I want something lighter on one side, so I'm going to put a little, just put a little right here on my knife like this. And lighten it up right here. This side. That will lighten it without changing the color and make it chalky. I want this lighter right here. Alright. Maybe I'll just take a brush and smooth that out. Flatten this out a bit, make sure I've got the bottom of this where I want it. Just basically what we're going for is texture, shape. Alright, so there's the bottom of her coat, and it needs to be a little darker at the very bottom under here, like this. The very bottom of this, it needs to be darker where it's hitting the ground. Okay, so you can kind of see, you can see where we've got the little bit of a shadow going now, the darker purple. It's lighter over here. And on this side he had a little bit of green. It was interesting. He had a little bit of a green color right next to this purple, which was pretty. It's a little bit of a green color, and I'm just going to add a little phthalo blue and cad yellow medium to the gray. Add that, just kind of warm that up a bit, like this. Come under our umbrella like this. Okay, so all right, now that's pretty good. I'm liking this so far. Here's our dark brown color. Need to come under the bandana a bit. And because we're going over her shoulder, I want to lighten up this brown right here where it's going to be next to the dark part of the umbrella. Just lightening that up with a little brush. Okay, right there. See the little tiny bit of light. This is the kind of things you've sort of got to do. Now this umbrella needs to be lighter. And that's fine. We know where the light paint is, so we've used all the white up, so we've got to put the white out one more time. And this is how fast you go through paint. It's alright. People like doing palette knives. It's sort of fun. And I'm going to just go into this white into this purple gray color that we already had. Alright, more white. And I've got a little phthalo blue in it, and I haven't mixed it very well. And scrape some up. Put it on top of this umbrella. Just lighten it up a little bit. Okay, and I think I even could stand some more white in that. Add some to this. Let's see. Alright, so there we go. Okay. Now, looking back at the painting again, because I'm actually looking back here, I want to see what else we could do to sort of, finish this up, because I think we're pretty close to having it finished up. I'm going to just start adding some shadows. I'm going to do that with the brush. And when we're doing the kind of the light snow stuff, this is where, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. So I want it light under this coat. So I'm going to come back here with a light bit of snow color, put it under the coat right there. The same thing right next to this coat. I want to make sure I've got it light enough. So a little bit of blue with it, but still a little bit of phthalo blue with it, but it's lighter. And the same thing right here next to her coat right here. Make sure this is lighter right there. Here's this lighter part of this umbrella. Make sure this is rounded up enough. Okay, just run that off. Okay, there's this umbrella. Let's fix this edge right here. Okay. So then we're just sort of going through and looking for places where we can add some light. Here's some light right here. Maybe a little bit on the top of this umbrella here, a little bit of this lighter color. Because we got enough texture, I can take the brush and sort of dry brush over some of this, and it still works. Okay, see how we just started lightening things up a little bit? At the shadow part of the umbrella. And I just like to just kind of see where my browns are. Here we had this shoe kind of going up in this direction. So put the foot going that way. And again, we've got some browns kind of under here like this. I'm just going to add that to this. little shadows. And now it feels quite slushy, doesn't it? Quite slushy. And let's see. Yeah. Oh yeah. For his pants, let's take his pants, and they're just too plain here. Let's take some brown. Come over his pants just a little bit there, like that. Kind of lighten those up so they're not just not. And then maybe this side here is a little bit lighter on this side of the pants. And so, in other words, they started off dark brown, but then that's not where we want to leave them. And we want to make sure that his pack, this was, whatever this was, here's a little yellow oxide, whatever this was, some sort of little fanny pack or whatever, on the bottom of his shirt or whatever is coming out here. Let's put a little of this yellow up here around his neck. Got a little bit too much of a halo of red around his head. So we'll just get rid of some of that. It's more of a gray under his umbrella. This was interesting value-wise, and you can see it kind of maybe in this picture, that he had the dark head, but the colors under his umbrella were not as dark. See, I've got him pretty dark, but you got to talk about values now on a grayscale. So his head was dark, so I've got to lighten up the colors underneath that umbrella now. So I'm going to take some yellow and ultramarine blue to make it almost then some purple. Make sort of like that color gray. And let's see, put a little white with it. So I'm going to lighten up these colors. Got to be darker than that. It's a cross cutting too. I don't want it as dark as this one. I'm going to lighten up colors particularly, and it got lighter around next to his head, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see it. So that, remember, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. So we lightened up the colors under this umbrella, and then came back with some white, almost, and then lighten up her cap right there on this edge. There we go, like this. Okay, so there's her hat. Now he's showing up more because of the fact that we didn't make this area under the umbrella as dark. Okay, so let's just pull a little of that color. I always like to add more colors to things too. Just come back. Here's a little bit of yellow and orange color. Barely touch it, maybe put in just some color. There you go. Here's some pure cad red medium. A couple of spots. See, bring that to the foreground. There's a little purple, where it's a little bit darker under her neck. There's this little dark line right here. Okay. So once you've done the most of this, then you can come back. For instance, here's the other side of the top of the umbrella, right there, which we needed to put in there like that. And I can look and say, do I need to darken up anything next to the umbrella? Do I need to add some dark to the sky here? Just with the brush, just kind of blend it in to this. It's okay. You're still going to have all the texture of the palette knife, but you see how just darkening that little bit up there helped. Right in here. Maybe darken it right here again. Okay, like that, so that edge is dark. And I think I'd say we were pretty close to finished. Kind of looking at this and seeing where else I might want to do something. And I'm looking at sort of this one that I painted. I'm going to let you see that one, and I kind of got this one, and I just might take a little bit of, I don't know, I'm going to just, I feel like I want some burnt sienna kind of color. See if I can make anything out of any of this. There we go. It's a sort of a reddish brown. Pull it up here a little bit on top of this, for this guy here, like this. A little bit more reddish brown, add some white to that. All right, I'm liking that a little better. Just sort of knock some of that back. Did that with the just using kind of what was left in the palette knife and all the little plates. And let's see, what else could I do with some of this down in here? Here's a little bit more. I'm just looking to see if I want to put any of this anywhere. I'm pretty happy with this. I might put, we've got this dark thing, I might barely drag this, some of this over here like this. There we go, like this. Bring some light down, okay, like that. A little bit of gray. Lighten it up right there. Okay, that's working for me. I can see how that kind of, we got it sort of a little bit lighter here. You know, because this is dry, so it's skipping on top of those shadows. You guys see how that's working? Just barely touching it, skipping on top. I think I'll stop there with that. And let's see, what else could I put? Oh yeah. Here's some of that beige color on the edge of the coat right here. Okay, flatten it out. I want something lighter right here. Okay, there we go. Alright, just using the edge of that knife, like that. And, well, maybe a little of that beige color right here on his pants. Just using the side of the knife now, scraping it up, just using just the very edge, turning it this way and just pulling. Okay, like that. Yeah, that looks better. And then just pull this one a little bit. Those were just too dark. Okay, so that's his pants, which I'm loving. Now, okay, so we're so far so good. And let's see, where's my light colors? Gonna just get some of this, tone this back a little bit. There we go. Alright, so I feel pretty good about this now. I think we've got, you know, our little people, and I feel like we've got our umbrella, and we've got our these guys here pretty well. And what I might do is just dry it real quick and do a few little things, because you don't see her feet, you only see his, right? Don't see her feet at all. You only see his. And I don't think this goes up that far, so I'm going to just take a little bit of beige here. Stop this right like that. Okay. There. Okay, so we sort of stopped the snow from going up, you know, all up in there. There. All right. Well, that's how we're going to do this. Let me just zoom back out. I think I had it zoomed in. I don't know. Did I? This is as zoomy out as it goes. I could zoom in and kind of let you see some of the detail that we're doing here. On there, you see all the texture and stuff that we've got on this. Oh yeah, we need a light side to this coat. Which means we need brown. Light side to the brown coat here. go. Now let's put the brown back. So that would be ultramarine blue and burnt umber to get the dark pack. But I wanted the light part here on this, kind of on the edge of this coat, you know, right here, up here. Yeah, I'm going to do ultramarine blue and burnt umber, make a really dark color, and say that right next to the here it's dark. So that's easy enough to put back. Okay, so zoom back out of there. Sometimes these are just the final little details that you can make, and I promise you could spend another, you know, 20 minutes on this. And not be for naught here. Let's just come under here with the scarf like that. Little way where the scarf's tied. Just make a little curve, and there's our scarf. And how about this one? Yeah, I think we're pretty good, and I really kind of am happy with how this is going. See, look what's left of all this. Okay, so we sort of, you know, used up our colors, which is fine. This is what we want to do. Still have some stuff I would do here though. In this one I add a little gold and I like it, so I'm going to just put a little gold here. On this one, just barely dry brush it just over the top of that. Just because, you know, it's something that you can add, okay? And yeah. This is a bit of red right next to here. Okay, I'm stopping. Alright, I hope you had fun with this. If you want to go to my website, we'll have the Vincent Van Gogh picture available if you want to just you know, print it out to, you know, to put in the people, and you know, which is fine. And remember, if you're going to start this out, just do a dark canvas, you know, some sort of dark color. I just wanted to paint over this one as we were painting over things. Bring this, there we go, a little less outline on his head, just very subtle. And you can see the difference between when you do something with the palette knife, and I was happy with this one, but you can see the difference when you do something with the palette knife, but it can be very, can be kind of cool. I'm going to pause it for just a second. I want to glaze over this. I have to dry it though first. This feels like it could be just slightly darker right here, and the only way I can do that is to glaze. So let me show you how that's going to work, and then we're going to call it quits, okay? Okay, so what I've done, instead of darkening this up, I just add a little more light around the base of her coat to kind of lighten up the coat and make sure that this angle here was there. Put a little bit more of the snow color right here between the two of them. Okay, and I've got this angle here, just kind of leaving her like that. Wanted to make sure that I had enough light in a few places, you know, where feet were, stuff like that. And I'm pretty happy with all of this. Kind of lightening up a little bit here on the edge of this umbrella, like that. Lightened up a little bit of something up here. Kind of lightened up the top of this like that. Made it a little bit more pronounced. Because as the color dries, it has a tendency to go darker, so sometimes it can be a little misleading. But I hope that this was fun. And we've got gonna just make this foot a little bit smaller. Like that. There we go. Just sort of make everything smaller, and I want to make sure that I've got everything light enough here. Like for instance, even his coat. Could I lighten this coat up a little bit right here and still have it sort of this sort of beige coats. So just next to the umbrella, I'm lightening it up a little bit, right like that. Okay, and those are the kinds of things that if I'm doing it there, I've got to do it over here too. And that, because I've got enough texture on the brush, I can do this. Okay, so now just all I was concerned with now was just the lights and the darks of the picture. That's just our main thing here, is the lights and darks of the picture. And sometimes what happens when you get to the end, you sort of run out of paint, and then you're just sort of over it and going, well, I could do something, but then I'd have to put out some more paint, and I don't want to. And I want to make sure that, for instance, this hat, I want to just change the shape up here of this hat and round it up a little bit here in the corner, like that. It's a little bit off-white. Okay, just little stuff like that. Kind of sometimes can make a difference. So that's what you want to kind of try to do when you're done with something, is just kind of look and see, is there anything else I could put and still make the painting more clear? Are there lights? Are there darks? Is there something else that I could add? But I would say that there is our palette knife painting of Vincent Van Gogh's People in the Rain. And even though he did it in a watercolor, you know, and this, again, the painting went out a little bit more. My printer didn't print the whole thing. But you get the sort of idea that, you know, you can take even a watercolor and translate it into a nice textured painting, or you could just do it in regular, you know, flat acrylics. In either way, it kind of works. But I really like this painting. I think it's charming. Kind of reminds me of the winter. It's simple, and it's a good place to start when you're painting people, because to paint them kind of from behind. See, I'll just, as I'm talking to you, I'll keep doing this. So anyway, I'm live on YouTube on Tuesday nights at 7:30 Central and 1 o'clock on Wednesday Central. We're always doing some fun, interesting things. And if you haven't seen what's new at gingercooklive.gallery, be sure to look at our Pinterest page, Ginger Cook Live, because I always put that's kind of the schedule up. The paintings that we're going to be releasing soon, I like to put on my Pinterest page, as well as artwork from other people. If you send me your artwork, I will put it up on Pinterest if you want me to. And so it's a lot of fun. So thanks very much for watching. Hope everybody had a wonderful day. And this is Vincent Van Gogh's In the Rain. Let me just move all these happy plates. And just do it like that. Move all our stuff. There we go. Perfect.